Episode 266 of Bucco Bantr. The Pirates avoid arbitration. We'll walk through that, what's happening around the NL Central, and some potential options on the third base market. You're listening to the Bucco Bantr podcast, brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue the music.
Rockin' one-on-one, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Or the steak by the plate, sending case after case. Run my race at my pace, clear the grass of the snakes.
Welcome back to another episode of Bucco Bantr. It is January 11th. We're recording on a Sunday night. And Adam, we've got some stuff to talk about around the Central because the Pirates have been active, but so have the Cubs as of recently. So let's just dive into it.
We were talking about the Cubs having potentially a terrible offseason. Not spending any money. What are you doing? The Rickett family is
Ricketts, yeah.
Awful, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, within a week, they might have the best offseason of anybody.
Yeah, I mean, they've had pretty good. Like,
it's all relative, right? Because they already have pieces to the puzzle. And then they add Edward Cabrera. And they gave up Owen Casey for it. And it's a pretty high ask. We were talking about the Pirates bringing back Owen Casey last year. But then they go get Bregman. You add Bregman to that lineup. You don't have to do as much as what we want the Pirates to do, right? They needed to make the necessary moves, and I think they did that. I mean, you could make the argument that they need to do more. They should have been more active early on, but they got the big fish.
Yeah, I mean, they had some young bats coming up. I thought the price for Edward Cabrera was hefty, even though I'm a big believer in Edward Cabrera because I think this is a guy that has nasty stuff. He just hasn't thrown over 100 innings pitched. So giving up Owen Casey, Christian Hernandez, and I think another piece, it seemed like a lot, but at the same time, you got to boost that rotation. And then we got a lot of young bats in this system. Talk about a turning point for Matt Shaw. I mean, bringing in Alex Bregman is quite the move for him. He's going to be now a super utility guy. And you brought in Tyler Austin from the NPB, who's had some success with the Yankees, but like he's 34 years old and has spent some time overseas. This lineup looks good on paper. I'm looking at it right now. Michael Busch, Bregman, Happ, Suzuki, PCA, Carson Kelly, Dansby Swanson, Moises Ballesteros, Nico Horner. Looks good on paper. I'm just used to the Cubs underperforming. I've been a big believer in the Cubs recently in their rebuild, but they've underperformed and been disappointing. I like Matthew Boyd. I like Cade Horton. I like Imanaga. I like Cabrera. But like, is the bullpen going to take that step forward? They've added a ton of bullpen guys, but like most of these guys are like soft throwers. Like, is this a bullpen that you want to? Is that the type of guys you want to fill a bullpen with? We'll see. And I got some contributions possibly coming from Kevin Alcantara, a rookie outfielder, is their number one prospect. So I think between the Cubs and the Pirates and the Brewers and even the Reds, I'll put the Reds out there. I think it's going to be not the sexiest division, but a very fun one. It's going to be like the AFC North in football.
Yeah, it's a dogfight.
It's a dogfight for sure.
I agree with everything you said. I mean, like, it's not the sexiest moves of all time. Bregman is sexy. It's a sexy move. Like, everybody wants to see Bregman. Kind of surprising. The Red Sox haven't signed a free agent. They haven't done anything. And they've already given Bregman $50 million. And I heard they were considering that in the negotiations of, listen, hey, we just gave you 50 mil. Instead, he opts out to take 10 more mil for 5 years, 175 with
and
deferred money.
70 million deferred.
Right. So he just wanted out of Boston. He did not want to be in Boston. He had a good year there. I like that move for Chicago, but let's just go right into it because I think the trade market is still going to be a valuable place for the Pirates. And if they are willing to trade within the division, I think the Cubs are definitely going to entertain trades for Nico Horner now, who has 1 year left. Now, can Nico Horner play third base? He's played third base, I think, 7 times with the Cubs in his entire career there.
I mean, he's a good infielder, but who would want him to play third base?
Right. Well, I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there with the third base market, right?
Okay.
If you're looking for trades. Or do the Cubs look for a big return on Matt Shaw? Maybe.
They could. I mean, they could definitely move a guy like him. I think they absolutely could. It's just What I would think it's probably on the pitching side that they're looking to improve on, or maybe depth wise, or whether that's prospect or rotation or bullpen.
What do you think a Matt Shaw trade takes? Because he didn't have the greatest rookie year. There was a couple of weeks there where he looked good, but he was the rookie of the year favorite going into 2025. He made the team out of spring training. What is a trade for a guy like that who has pre-arb? He's making about $820K a year, a ton of power from the right-handed side, a good glove at third base. What would you be willing to give up to get Matt Shaw? Again, this has not even been discussed yet. I don't know if this is even a remote possibility, but you just brought Bregman in, who's going to play third base. Matt Shaw could move over to second. I mean, I know he could play all the infield positions. They could just hold on to him. They don't really have an issue with that there. They're not paying him a ton of money. It's one of their top prospects. But if they were going to move a bat like Matt Shaw, what would that take?
I think you could do like a pretty a notable prospect swap. Like if it's like a Harrington versus for Shaw, like I think the Cubs would entertain that because I think Harrington is much more valuable to them now than Matt Shaw is. But you got to look at their system too. Like what do they have behind him that could be depth pieces? Like Scott Kingery signed with them. Is he going to make the team? James Triantos is a good prospect. I like James Triantos. He can play a little bit of everywhere, even the outfield. And then you got Jefferson Rojas, who's their number 2 overall prospect. So like they've got bats coming up. I think you could deal Matt Shaw, but it's not going to be like Matt Shaw for like multiple pieces. I think it's going to be like a Matt Shaw for a pitching prospect, a much higher scale Patrick Riley for Billy Cook, a team that needs more pitching. And
I think you're underestimating the trade a little bit. I think he gets a little bit bigger of return than just like a Harrington and a Shaw, just because of the upside there and the years of control.
Sure.
Right. I think you're on the right track. I think it is pitching. It has to be pitching with that organization. I like Harrington. That's the name I have written down. And then I have written down like mid-level arm. I think it would have to be like a 2-for-1. Not significant. I mean, you could go like all in and be like, hey, we're going to give you.
Who's that mid-level arm? Do you have an example? Xander Meath?
Xander Meath always comes up as a guy who has a lot of high upside, a little bit
I would
of a
do
funky
that.
delivery, throws hard. I would go Harrington and Meath for Matt Shaw, or you could pull the trigger on Termarr Johnson and be like, hey, you're going to have a hole at second base in a year. We might not feel comfortable just bringing him up as a second baseman. This might play better in your organization. I don't know. Is that too much? I honestly don't think it is.
No, I don't think it is. I just think when you're dealing in division, I don't know how they're going to think about it, but you got to take that into account.
Yeah.
So are they going to ask more for Matt Shaw from the Pirates? Maybe. But just looking at this trade right now with Edward Cabrera, it makes me think like what we could have gotten from the Cubs for Mitch Keller. And not that I want to move Mitch Keller, but this goes back to the trade deadline, and there was interest there, and they needed pitching, and it just seemed like a good fit, and people were debating on whether we should trade him in division. If they're willing to give up Owen Casey, Christian Hernandez, and another prospect for Edward Cabrera, who has not shown the durability, what does Mitch Keller get you? That is an interesting thought, but not one that we really need to ponder much because he's not going anywhere.
I think the stuff with Edward Cabrera is really the selling point.
Oh, it's gross. Yeah.
It's disgusting. So I think the upside is significantly higher for the Cubs there. If they could work it out and he could stay healthy, then he's a top tier arm. If not, then it doesn't really make sense because then you're probably not going to bring Kyle Tucker back. Now, if they bring Kyle Tucker back somehow, some way, then greatest offseason of all time. Amazing. I don't think that's going to happen, but I was curious because I don't think, and I'll before I say it, third base, left side of the infield has been a massive talking point for Pirates fans the past couple of weeks. Since Okamoto, everything has switched to Suárez. Suárez. While getting Eugenio Suárez would be great, you add potential 50 home run power to your lineup. The way things are looking right now, Scott, and we're going to talk about this probably throughout the week, I think the Pirates add in other ways outside of giving a guy $20 million a year. I'm just trying to be realistic about this. And I don't see a world where they give an extra year on a contract for 20 AAV.
I definitely not 20 AAV. If Suárez's market, I think they're hanging around Suárez's market and going to see where it goes. And if it falls, they're going to be able to jump all over it. But there's options out there, whether it's trade, whether it's free agency. And even Ben Cherington went on MLB Network Radio, I think it was today or yesterday, this weekend, saying that it seemed like left side of the infield was a top priority for them. And so, like, I would be surprised if we get to spring training and we don't have another third baseman in the mix, personally. If they don't add one, then it's probably just they didn't like what they saw or didn't like the offers out there and they just moved forward. But I think that's a priority. I also think that pitching is a priority too, adding a veteran rotation piece in there. So you'd have to think that Suárez, I wonder what Suárez market is right now, because we haven't heard much league wide, whether it's Pirates or just who has general interest in Gino. I wonder what his market is at right now, because I'm sure that his agents are looking for more than what the Pirates are offering.
Yeah.
But does it fall? And that's something that it's going to be worth monitoring over the next couple weeks or month.
Yeah. At this point of his career, I don't think winning is going to be the greatest selling point. I just don't. Like, it's always great. That's fun. Winning's awesome. He just got a really good taste of that with Seattle, but he's not going to get another big contract. He's just not. This is it. So he's going to focus his free agency market in different areas until, like you said, the Pirates are hanging around. Maybe that price dips a little bit. Then I think the Pirates might swoop in and give a good deal. Then they could use the selling point of like, hey, we're not giving you a slouch contract here. And also we're gearing up to win. Then that can be almost an afterthought here. But I agree. I think they look in other ways. I do think there's another third base option in the mix come spring training, whether that's a Yohan Moncada as a lefty bat. This is going to sound hilarious, and I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for this. I think there is an option, or there is a world where they re-sign Adam Frazier again. And I said this about a year ago today, and you had the same reaction. And then they signed Adam Frazier.
Yeah, but like, I'd rather have Moncada at that point.
Of course. Listen, I'm not saying
I like Adam Frazier as a person. I think that means anything.
Yeah, sure. I think there is a world where it gets late into the offseason, and if those options aren't there, and if they're not in on Moncada or Suárez falls out or whatever it may be, they might look at it as, oh, this is a left-hand bat that we could throw in at third base. He could play left field in a pinch. He could play all over the infield. Maybe this
third base well.
No, but does Moncada?
No, but like Moncada provides power.
Does Suárez?
Not really, no. But like those guys both provide power. They provide slug. Like it's.
I'm not saying this is what I want. I'm not saying I want this. I'm saying there is a world where Adam Frazier becomes a Pirate for the third time.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
You can't tell me I'm too far out.
It would not surprise me in the least, right? It would not surprise me at all. But
I just think they're trying to get more left-handed. If things
they're very left-handed right now. They're pretty left-handed.
They're going to stay on theme of that. And if they say, hey, we really want a platoon option with Jared Triolo, and if things don't fall the way they are, Adam Frazier might be a Pirate. I know he's got property here in Pittsburgh. I'm sure he'd love to come back. He loves the Anoyas.
Yeah.
Loves the Anoyas.
For what it's worth, we've thrown out some trade ideas like Josh Young and who's the other one? Why am I drawing a blank? Oh, Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm is like, I think Bo Bichette is going to be a Philly. I think that's Philly or Red Sox, and I think the Red Sox might be desperate right now after losing Bregman. So who knows? They might be even more in the mix. But if you asked me last week, if I was a betting man, I would put all my money on the Phillies. Alec Bohm is going to be moved, I think, for the Phillies. And I don't know if they have a ton of leverage there. Haven't heard any smoke around Bohm with the Pirates. Haven't heard any smoke about Young and the Pirates. And I haven't heard any smoke about the Rangers wanting to trade Young. I really haven't. And I don't think anyone has, because I don't know if they have the depth to do it. I know Sebastian Walcott is coming up, but are you going to bet on him to be a major leaguer for most of the year this year? I don't know. I don't think so. Pretty raw guy. But there are definitely options out there, and whether it's free agency or trade, we've brought up a few. personally, people are sour on Alec Bohm. Like, this is a guy that's going to hit 280 with a 340 OBP, get you 12 to 15 homers, and play a replacement level third base. Like, the bat is not going to be a zero either. Like I said with Moncada, and he's not like a complete liability at third base. I think eventually moves the first base, but we don't have to worry about this year. So there are options, is my point. There are definitely options. And I'm interested to see which route they go here in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, you could play Bohm at first base this year if you wanted to
You
move
could.
him around.
You absolutely could, man. You could play Triolo at third and Bohm at first if you want to keep, if there's a lineup, if there's a pitcher we're facing and you don't want Spencer Horwitz to face him, that absolutely can happen. So there's some versatility there with Bohm.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. What I've heard is the Phillies are very in on Bichette. And that was going to be a talking point I brought up. I'm glad you bring it up. But the Red Sox might get desperate. But either way, I think Bohm trade is inevitable. Somewhere in Major League Baseball. I don't know if it's going to be the Pirates, what that trade looks like. We've discussed it not being very much. But I still think there is a world where that happens. And then I would be very happy with this offseason without a Suárez or any other signing. If they went and made another move, even it being a 1-year deal, I'm very okay with that, trying to win in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the sexiest move you're going to see is Eugenio Suárez or a guy I'm trying to think who else. Like, maybe no smoke around Victor Carantini, but that's not necessarily a sexy move. That's going to be the biggest thing that you're going to see. I think it's just plug and play wherever they can here and fill in the holes that are still out there. Whether that's a Quintana in the rotation or another depth infielder like a Willie Castro who can play a utility role, I don't know, but just keep an eye on the Suárez market from here on out.
Do you think if the Phillies sign Bo Bichette to a crazy contract, they can not afford to sign JT Realmuto?
I would be surprised. I think they'd go after Victor Carantini. I think our competition for Carantini, if we're in on him, is the Phillies, especially with Realmuto's market. Like, kind of, because I don't think they're going to go into 2026 with Marchand and Garrett Stubbs as their catching duo. I just really don't. I think Garrett Stubbs is a viable backup. I think Marchand could be a viable backup. I don't think you want both of them as your two catchers.
Okay, so maybe the Realmuto market drops going into pitchers and catchers reporting.
It very much so could, man. And that Realmuto could be, and I've said it before, could be our Francisco Cervelli, could be our Russell Martin, or veteran catcher that comes in with a young pitching staff or a viable pitching staff and makes a difference. Pirates
avoided arbitration. That's good.
They did. Well, let's talk through some of those. I didn't think, was there any deal that you thought that surprised you? Because there's nothing that surprised me. I thought Dennis Santana got his bag that he was due.
Deserved. Yeah. He overshot it a little bit the year before.
As he did last year. Yeah.
And avoiding arbitration is always good, unless the disparity is so great between the two parties. I never want a guy to go in, especially with the talk around the Pirates organization and them trying to make things right going into the offseason by spending the money and putting a winning product in the field. The last thing you need is an arbitration dispute, right? You never want to put a player in that type of situation where they're going in and they're hearing every reason why they shouldn't be paid. This is the way to do it, man. And I think all these deals are good. Dennis Santana, $3.5 million. Joey Bart, 2.53. O'Neal Cruz, 3.3. Justin Lawrence, 1.225, was hurt, looked really good before that, and they need righty arms coming out of the bullpen, and he is electric, and that slider is disgusting. By the way, Pirates love their slider guys, and I'm starting to see a trend as we talk to all these minor league pitchers, and we ask what their arsenal is, and they're like, yeah, I was throwing a cutter, but we're going slider now. Yeah. And we've heard that same exact conversation many, many times on the Down in the Farm episode. So they definitely like the slider as a put away pitch or a secondary option, but it doesn't get much better than Justin Lawrence. It really doesn't.
He's a guy that could slot in and give you high leverage innings this year. Like, they have a lot of guys that can do that. And, Joey Bart's $2.53 million, while not astronomical, like, that's $2.5 million that can be removed from the books if they decide to go another route with catcher, because I don't think he'd be the one staying.
Right.
So just food for thought there. I was pretty happy with the fact that the Pirates came away from arbitration without going to a hearing, because that is just an ugly process, as you outlined. And
Yeah,
Pirates don't need that type of PR going forward. So good on them settling all 4 of these guys. And we got some moves hopefully coming in the next coming weeks.
well, they did make a couple of other moves. They signed Chris Devenski,
yes. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Right-handed bullpen pitcher, to a minor league deal. Talk about Chris Devenski, Scott. What do you know about the right-hand arm?
Yeah, Chris Devenski has kind of been a journeyman, but career 3.91 ERA. Last year at a 2.16 ERA, I believe, with the Mets. 13 games. Has been a really solid bullpen arm. I mean, career 1.126 WHIP, 429 strikeouts, 8 saves. Played a pivotal role in some of those Astros bullpens in 2020 or 2016 to 2020.
He was an all-star in 2017.
All-star in 2017. It was a big year for him. I think this is a guy that you're going to see in Pittsburgh if he, sticks with the club through spring training. I think you're going to see him called up. He might be one of the first call-ups if we need a guy in the bullpen. A lot of experience here. I mean, how old is he now? 35 years old. So, yeah, I like the signing. I think that's just good depth and a guy with experience that can rub off on some of these young guys. We got a lot of young guys in that bullpen, man. Mason Montgomery, Kyle Nicholas, Carmen Wojcinski. Good mentor for them right here.
Yeah, it's a good group. I'm excited to see what happens in the next couple of weeks, man, because Bregman, Okamoto off the market. Suárez is like the only big option out there. And I know Pirates fans, for Pirates fans, realistically, everyone has zeroed in on Suárez. So something's going to happen sooner rather than later. Whatever way it falls, we'll be here to cover it. We'll be here to talk through it, whether positive, negative, whatever it may be. And if it's Suárez, great. If it's not, like we've mentioned on this show, there's a lot of other options out there that make a lot of sense for this team. And while it might not be the sexy move that you're looking for, I think there are moves that are going to enhance this ball club to an 80-plus win team. I think that's very doable.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you need to add big names here to make this team a playoff contender. I think you can build those names or those guys in the aggregate and move forward. So,
by the way, Ryan O'Hearn officially a Pirate.
Pretty cool. I love seeing the whole. It's nice seeing a big video, and it's not Vincent Velasquez. It's Ryan O'Hearn.
How dare you? How dare you?
I had to bring that up. Funny.
Listen, but one thing before we close it out, that I love what Ryan O'Hearn said was he talked to DK. DK was the selling point for him. And something that we've brought up on the show is having a manager that you could rally around for 162 plus. You're with that guy for a majority of the year, more than your own family. You need to be comfortable. Don Kelly made a top tier free agent comfortable signing with the Pirates. And on top of that,
he also mentioned Brandon Lau, that trade kind of sold him.
Exactly. And then on top of that, something else we talked about is making moves early in order to lure these free agents. Came right from the horse's mouth. You got Lau, you got Mangum, you got Montgomery. You're making these types of moves. Yeah, I'm more attracted to this place now that it looks like you're trying to win. Yeah, it makes sense, man. And I'm really pumped to have O'Hearn in this lineup. I'm wondering. I'm sure he's going to be at Pirates Fest. They got.
I would assume so. I know he just had a kid, so maybe there might be some. It might be some difficulties there, but I'm sure if he's able to make it, he's going to be there. And I know we've heard from Jake Mangum himself that he'll be there. I'm excited for Pirates Fest. That's coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks, man. Really excited. Well, we'll be there. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, tell a friend to tell a friend. A lot of cool content coming your way. I promise you that. So the only way you're going to get it, though, is by subscribing to YouTube, going over to Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast, leaving a 5-star review, downloading. Go to buccobantr.com. You could also get all the episodes there. Get some cool merch for Pirates Fest. Really excited to chop it up and see everybody there and get Get the ball rolling into spring training, man.
I'm ready to be out of winter, man. I'm ready to get back on the field and be around the baseball for the rest of the year. So I'm excited for FanFest. I think it's going to be a tease before we get down to Bradenton for spring training.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of Bradenton, March 1st through the 8th, we will be there for a full week having you covered with all of your spring training needs. So if you're down there, come say hi. Let's talk Bucco's baseball. And until next time, raise it.
Raise it.
Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates or the steak by the plates and